Ross Dellenger of Yahoo Sports, kind enough to sit down with me now and talk about the future of college football. And Ross, that's my first genuine question, is just what does the future of this sport look like? And I know it's not an easy question to answer right now.
No, it's not. We don't know what the next day will bring, right? Let alone the next month or year. As they say, one thing consistent about college sports is you can count on it changing. That's about the only thing you can count on it doing. So it's it's a influx time right now with athlete compensation and the new rev share rules and all that stuff, man. And I would expect that it will continue to change and evolve. And we've seen it evolve the last few years, and it'll keep evolving.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. Like you said, going to continue to change. Do you feel like a school like Utah, and even you could say just in the Big 12, are they set up to succeed right now? Or do you think it's going to be hard for the Big 12 to, Brett Yormark yesterday was talking about he wants to get 2 teams into the college football playoff. That does feel like a tall mountain to climb.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on the new enforcement entity, the clearinghouse, which has to approve all these revenue share contracts with player, or has to approve third-party NIL deals with players. If the clearinghouse of this enforcement entity is strict, right, and denies a lot of these deals, I think everybody it'll be more of an even playing field to benefit schools in the Big 12 that might not have the resources, the outside third-party resources of the SEC and Big 10, and even some of the schools in the ACC. So they really need the Big 12 and ACC. We're shooting live here. Deion Sanders is yelling and screaming on the podium. But I think it benefits the Big 12 and the ACC if the clearinghouse and the enforcement staff enforces the way we've been led to believe they will, which is denying a lot of booster deals. Because if they don't enforce strictly, and I think the Big 10 and SEC that probably has more resources, more booster support in a lot of ways, it'll make it harder, for there to be some kind of even playing field. So if you're a Big 12 and ACC fan, you really, in a way, are rooting for more enforcement. It's the better.
How they do enforce this, because so many teams have done probably something that they would rather not have that get out. So that if you accuse someone, do they look into yours? I mean, but do you feel like this is something that's going to be enforced? Do you feel like we are going to see, Sonny Dykes was up there earlier talking about he wants a level playing field. Do you feel like we're going to get that? And I mean, in some ways you can argue we've almost never had that in college football. So just do you think we're ever going to get that level playing field and have it enforced?
Yeah, the one thing about college athletics is, there always have been tiers. You've always had the haves and the have-nots, as they like to say. And I think that will probably always stay. They'll stay the same. I don't know that that's going to really change drastically. We're probably going to see the clearinghouse trigger lawsuits when they start potentially rejecting some of these booster deals. We could see a lawsuit potentially, shutting down the enforcement entity. And that would really obviously prohibit what Sonny and others have talked about sort of leveling the playing field. And so, again, I go back. I think to level the playing field, you do have to have enforcement. We just don't know. It's too early to know. It's only 3 weeks into the clearinghouse, and right now there's a little bit of a pause, kind of a holdup right now with some of the deals. They're under review, and they've been under review now for a couple of weeks. And I think part of that is because the plaintiff lawyers in the House case are still involved, and they get to approve, and they have authority over some of what they call the anti-circumvention rules. And these rules are a list of rules that need to be approved by the plaintiff lawyers. And the plaintiff lawyers and the college athletic administrators are going back and forth and negotiating over these rules and how strict they can be, or how lenient they can be. And that's kind of what's happening right now. So it's too early to say what this will look like.
One thing that I am curious, though, is revenue sharing and how teams are going to go about divvying up that revenue? What do you, I mean, I've talked for Utah before. I'd be down if they went up to as high as even maybe 16% of that 12 or 16 million of the 20 million going to football. It's just obviously it's the moneymaker, what drives the mothership that is a college athletic program. But how do you think most teams are going to use that revenue sharing? And how does also, I'll even say, how does Title IX factor in this too?
Yeah, the rev share is obviously up to the school's discretion. They can share that $20.5 million cap, any way they please. And I think for the most part, schools are sharing about 70 to 75% with their football team, and about 10 to 15% with their men's basketball, 5% with women's basketball, and about 5% roughly to kind of everything else. So I think you'll see that's kind of the structure that you'll see under the current cap right now. But there's some schools that are probably going to share a little more, maybe 20, 25% with their men's basketball. Kansas is a good example of that, probably Duke too, that they're probably going to share more because, they have a rich history of success in that sport. And that's one of the things when you look at schools that don't have football programs and can invest a lot on basketball. For instance, Villanova, and Villanova doesn't have football, but it's FCS, so it's lower resource. But Grand Canyon, which is the new Mountain West school, they don't have football at all. So they have a good deal of money, I believe. So you can imagine that they're going to invest more heavily and probably have a bigger rev share pool than even a lot of the power conferences for their men's basketball team. So, and that's where the power leagues, in order to compete with them, are going to have to find true NIL they can get through the clearinghouse. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now, is whether it's using multimedia rights partners or apparel brands or other different corporate sponsors to, instead of diverting money from the athletic department to the roster, to do deals with the roster, these big businesses and brands, so that they can go above the cap.
College sports are a wild place right now, especially college football, trying to track all the spending, NIL, and everything. If you guys want to try and keep it straight, make sure you guys give Ross a follow on X and look at all his work at Yahoo Sports. Ross, thank you again so much for coming on. Today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by Wayfair. As the summer winds down, there's something nice about getting back into a routine you love. And Wayfair makes it easy to set yourself up for the season ahead. From bedding and lines to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair is your one-stop shop for refreshing your home. With Wayfair, it's so convenient to find exactly what I need all in one place and at a price that fits my budget. How much of a hassle can it be constantly scrolling and going to store after store to try and find everything? Well, that's what's nice about Wayfair. They have everything you need in one place. This is the perfect time to get your home ready, whether that's organizing, upgrading your workspace, or making weeknight dinners easier. Get organized and refreshed and back to your routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.